Let's add some time to cure now. And cut it off flush. And then just drill it out. So, see what we got here. That's the side that was stripped. Let's put the other side in as well. There you go. So now both sides are nice and solid again. There you go. That's how you fix a stripped screw in plastic. Right, so this is the receiver and where the magwell was cracked, and it's had overnight to cure, where I put some solvent in, but it needs reinforcing. Now, like I said, I took the plate off, but I've made a template here, and that's what's going to bridge the gap. But before I bridge that, because I'm going to make this piece out of metal, I want to build up this area here because it's slightly lower. So I've cut another little square of plastic card to stick on, just to raise that lower portion up so it's level with this square portion here. Using capillary action to wick that underneath the piece. So I'm trying to avoid getting on the top because, again, I don't want to get my fingerprints stuck in it. But the idea is to press and move this around. Yeah, you can see it kind of, yeah, I'm probably going to get fingerprints in it, but we'll just polish them out afterwards. But I just want to press and move it around to get that plastic to kind of melt and combine together. So that again will probably need overnight to cure so that it's properly solidified. But might as well make this plate. I won't bother filming that, I'll do that off camera. But it's just basically, I'm making this piece, but with an extension on it instead. So there we go, I made the plate out of metal. I just took that paper template and then traced it onto a piece of, this is like the inside of a computer case. It's that sort of steel. I found a spare screw and I put it in, and now this is braced right over where the crack was. Alright, well that's the body taken care of as far as I can tell. Oh, I did add some spacers here to make it so that when I tighten the suppressor on, it tightens on much more securely. Hang on. There you go. So now it doesn't wobble about as much. It's just a couple of spaces of craft foam and a disc of plasticard. Let's move on to the gearbox. Well, it looks fine in there. The shimming might need a little adjustment, but for the most part, I think that looks alright. I don't really think I have to do much to that. It was barely worth taking it apart, really. But I would like to sort of check to make sure that the shimming is just right on these two, and clean the pivots because they seemed a little gritty. a good seal. Could do with a clean though. There's a little bit of grit in between the teeth, but not very much. That's really quite reasonable, but still worth cleaning it out. That's better. Clean these out as well. Okay, let's have a quick look at these gears a minute. Yeah, those shims are in place. Looks okay. I don't see any immediate problems with the gears. I don't see any debris stuck in there. Honestly, it looks really clean in there. The pivots did feel a bit gritty, so I'll probably clean all of them off, and I might put some moly grease in there. But that's it. I'm just going to check the shimming. The bevel gear seems fine. It's just the other two gears I want to address the shimming on. And then just re-grease and reassemble. Whoops. Focus. Yep. So I'll just do that, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. Alright, so it's back together. It's not a quick change spring gearbox, so I just did it off camera because it's a pain in the backside. But this is the same battery that I tested it with earlier, and we're going to try him out now, see what he sounds like. Now I fiddled around with it a bit already just to get the motor height correct, but let's have a listen to this. Okay, don't do what I'm doing here. I'm doing it as a force of habit from trying to reduce the shock of the gearbox firing without firing BBs, but it's not worth it. Doing this can actually encourage something to happen called premature engagement, and that's when the sector gear makes a full revolution and tries to pick up the piston again before the piston is returned all the way forward. Your finger over the end stops the air escaping and stops the piston from going all the way forward again before the sector gear comes around. Incidentally, that's why people say clean your AEG barrels, because when your barrel gets clogged and the BB stop coming out, it's like putting a cork in the barrel, and it stops the air escaping, it stops the piston from turning forward, and your sector gear grinds against the piston. Best case scenario, you write off your piston. Worst case scenario, you wreck a gearbox shell. So just don't do what I'm doing here, okay? I'm stupid, don't do it, it's not worth it. Okay, bye. I think that's a lot better. So because of the way that this gun goes together, maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm going to have to take it back out of this lower, put it in the upper, and then reassemble it. So I'll do that off camera again, and I'll be back with you soon. Did forget to swab the barrel actually, so we're going to give that a clean. Woof! Jeepers, look at that. Oh yeah, that needed a clean. All right, well I think that was a good improvement. That was a pretty good result. Sorry about the poor quality of the film in there. I was trying out a new location and I haven't quite worked out all the kinks yet. But yeah, we saw an increase to feet per second and to rate of fire, which is excellent. Now, I know I said earlier on that I didn't really plan to change the exterior of this gun, and for the most part that's kind of true. But I had some ideas that I wanted to try. I saw a cool paint job which had like a yellow, kind of industrial warning paint kind of yellow against black with a bit of like rust on it, kind of like you'd see on a digger at a construction site. So I thought that looked kind of cool, and I was kind of interested in that. And I started to think about what kind of things I could do with the exterior because the interior worked out so well. But it does bring up an interesting point and something I have to touch on. Obviously, this gun was previously two-toned. Now, I don't know what the rules are I say I don't know what the rules are. They're hazy. But I don't really want to mess with that. I mean, the argument is that if you buy a two-tone gun and then you go to your 3 skirmishes and you get your valid defense, that what's the difference between then buying the very same gun but as a realistic imitation firearm versus painting your imitation firearm? Is it the same thing? I don't know. I don't want to get into that, and I don't want to tell you either way. I don't know. I don't think so. From what I understand, regardless, you're not supposed to paint them. So on that note, I was thinking about stripping back the Krylon here, back to the two-tone, only because the two-tone has adhered very well, and maybe spraying on the yellow. Does yellow count as a good enough two-tone? I don't know. So because I'm not sure, I'm just going to avoid that. But what I do want to show you is that where I have been removing paint here, there was never any two-tone paint on it. Let me show you what I mean. If I go here, for example, if I start scratching through, you can see we've got this olive color, then we got this black color, and then underneath the black, we've got the two-tone. And that two-tone is a very distinctive, it's a very different green to this Krylon. And you can see here where I've been handling it on the grip here and where I've been rubbing my thumb back and forth by here. And I've been scratching it lightly as well to see if I can find the selector switch markings. And that is just a layer of Krylon over black. So I am going to be taking some of this Krylon off, but I'm only going to be doing it in these places like I have done here on the rubber butt pad or back here. Because I think that'll improve the appearance of the gun. And then maybe later when I find out more about what these rules are, perhaps I'll look into painting that. But for the time being, I don't want to touch it. So I'll just, let me just do a little demonstration to show you. So what I found works very well for removing this Krylon is methylated spirits, which is basically just purple denatured alcohol for you guys in America. I think this stuff has a tiny bit of acetone in it. I don't know the composition exactly, but I'm sure I heard it had a bit of acetone. It seems to be mild enough to attack paint, but not strong enough to attack plastic. I've stripped paint off of model trains to repaint them before with this stuff, and it seems to work just fine. And also using a little, I think they call them Scotch-Brite pads. It's like the scrubby side of your kitchen sponge. But if you just dip a little bit of that sponge then into the methylated spirits, it seems to leave the sponge alone. But then you only have to rub very lightly, and you can just make your way through that Krylon. And you can see I'm not going through multiple layers. It's just Krylon and then bare plastic. There's no two-tone paint here. I'm not removing the two-tone layer. I'm not going to touch that. I'm literally going to separate this part from the gun, leave this completely alone, and only remove paint where it's on there like this, just to make the gun a bit tidier. I'm not sure if this is going to attack the paint of the selector switch markings. It probably will, but in terms of how much time I'm willing to put into carefully removing this paint, I probably, to be honest, rub it back with this stuff, and then where it's got this like haze on it from having the paint removed, I might just put a layer of black spray paint only on these parts, not here. just here. And then I think that'll just improve the appearance a lot better. All right, I'll check back in with you when I've done that. I'll just sort of do a little montage of me scrubbing away. Yeah, I'm going to just wet the surface with it and just let it kind of sit on there for a minute to soften. And then give it a few, like 30 seconds or so, and then see if it's even easier to scrub. Yeah, that makes a difference. So it's worth giving it a little time to soak first. I am losing the selector switch markings, but I'm not really concerned about that. Seems to work very well, and the benefit of doing it this way is that it leaves the texture of the plastic alone. Now there's a haze on here because of the loose paint that hasn't been wiped off, but if you can tell, if I zoom in on that, this part of the gun has like a texture molded into it. And this technique has completely left that texture alone. You can see the residue that's still coming off now. It's all over my hands and everything. Yeah, so I'll just be wiping off the loose stuff. And then hitting this with a bit of regular old acrylic black spray paint. Now that's acrylic, not Krylon or oil-based or anything like that. That is acrylic. And I believe this is made out of ABS, like I was saying before. And I find that it really sticks very well. And the reason I strip off any Krylon before I do that is if the gun does get scratched or bumped, you won't end up with the previous paint color showing through afterwards. I'm sorry if that was all out of focus. I forgot to tap the screen again. There we go, guys. That's what the black spray paint looks like over top of the plastic now that the Krylon stripped back. I think it turned out pretty good. Like I said, I didn't want to touch this area. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I'll come back to that later. But I think that was a good result. I'll hang on to this thing and I'll look for the spare parts that I need. Hopefully I can find those for cheap. I was going to order them. The front end is about £15 online, and I thought, well, no, I don't really want to start spending a lot of money on this gun. But yeah, I'm really happy with the result. I'm going to keep a hold of it because I like it. It's a really ergonomic gun, the MP5. Well, yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you again next time.